What's up, everyone? I'm just laughing at my cover photo for this. That was a good time. All right, let's get to it. So, welcome to a live stream, which I'll talk through a couple points to start with, followed by a section of Q&A. So if you've got questions, throw them in the chat, and I'll get to them a little bit. All right, as we usually start these things, talk about where should I get my miners? So if you live in a city and are still waiting on your hotspots, I'd recommend getting some packet forwarders or data spots, as I'm starting to call them. Parley Labs is selling one from, I believe, Dragino, and there are any other Helium manufacturers coming online very soon with light gateways as well. So I totally recommend those. And I'm going to butcher these names, but Heltec, Milesite, Sense Cap Seed, COTX, I2SOM, Palm, Layer 3, RevoFi, Rising HF, Linksdot, Smart Global, Pisces Miner, ClodPi, Trigino, and Browen. So Browen, something like that. So there's a bunch of manufacturers. They've all got applications in. So right now they aren't official, but they've requested to be part of the Helium network. So that's exciting. I've seen and heard this question regarding light gateways a lot. And I think I commented on it 2 live streams ago. And I said it more as a nuance, but I think some people took me more literally. So the question is, should you cancel your existing hotspot orders? And I think my official answer is, I'm not so sure yet. We don't know how fast validators will come online. It's cited as very soon. My guess is, or at least my cautious answer is, keep that order in for right now and see what happens with light gateways. Research them. Look for some signals from Helium and the Helium Discord on when they will be available. I would love to see, and they've talked about this as that they want prices to, or they're hoping that prices will drop. I'm seeing, or I guess if I had to guess, I'm guessing that the prices will probably be high at first and then drop quickly thereafter, or at least get into some lowest price battle per se. So in short, prepare for volatility in the answer to where to get miners. This may get really, with tons of options, really quickly. But of course, we're all going to be, I don't know where to get them, yet. So hold tight, and we'll find them, and of course, we'll all celebrate as more manufacturers get announced. All right, for support questions that have come in, there's been a lot of comments on low earnings, like a lot, quite a few this week that I talked to. And the only thing that I've been able to experiment with and is just connecting to Ethernet, and it has improved earnings almost dramatically. And that's what I've been hearing from people. I'm like, hey, try this out. I don't know if there's something going on, and this is related to validators. I'm just not sure. But by and large, from the people that I've been talking to that haven't, the first question I ask is, are you on Wi-Fi? And they're like, yes. How did you know this? And I'm like, I'm just trying to piece things together here as best I can. And so that's one I'd really recommend, is get into Ethernet if you can. So in talking with the Helium staff, a recommendation, and this is if you feel comfortable and you're understanding that you're at your own liability on this, if you're a host for some hosting company, make sure you check with them to make sure that this is okay first. But the recommendation would be to remove the top of the rack miner. As the top here is a metal top, and then also inside here, if you could just look at the cross section of this, there's a board, one board at the top here, and then another board at the base. So there's 2 boards, and the Wi-Fi receiver is on the bottom board. So all that signal is kind of hitting the top of it. So the recommendation is actually to remove this if you can. Now, if you're outside with this, and hopefully you're not even wrapping this in a plastic bag, but if you've got this outside, you may want to not do that unless you're absolutely sure this is in a like an IP66, 67 enclosure, that it's going to be rock solid. Now, I've heard of even people taking this completely apart and taking the component out of there entirely, just to improve that reception. But honestly, it's still better to use that Ethernet jack like entirely. So that's up to you. But if you're currently on Wi-Fi Outdoors, I'd highly recommend switching over to an Ethernet or power over Ethernet setup, or just moving the miner back inside and accepting that little bit of loss, DBI loss, by having a longer cable. This is actually what I did, and my earnings improved dramatically and getting off of the Wi-Fi. So even with me, that happened. So like I said, it could have been something interesting happening on with the network. I did ask the question of, are Wi-Fi connections being actively penalized? And they said, no, we knew we never would have to do that. In the case that they couldn't get to validators, maybe it would have been a possibility at the future, but there's not been any active penalizing of miners on Wi-Fi connections. Though there are examples of like consensus groups taking longer as part, if they were on Wi-Fi, spotty Wi-Fi, or even if they were relayed. So speaking of relayed, I'm still seeing a lot of comments on relayed and port forwarding. This won't be around for much longer, thankfully. But and so once validators are online, you can actually delete your port forwarding setting. We're not there yet, so don't do it right now. I actually still saw someone, I think as of this morning, got consensus. One of our former hosts of the People's Hotspot. So that was a cool thing for them to share that and hear it. So there's still consensus groups going on, and normal hotspot owners like you and me getting rewarded for that. So that's exciting. Lastly, watch your earnings, people. I've seen a lot of hosts and just general people not notice when their hotspot was down for some reason. So the network ingrains this rewarding of uptime. So this is your responsibility. Keep tabs on your hotspot. I talked with a host actually just today, and I talked them through the process of using the Helium app to find their hotspot, and then clicking the little flag up at the top right to favorite it, so they could keep monitoring on that hotspot. I wish there was some more mechanic that, like, even if you favorited it, that you could even get notified if it's down, even if it's only your favorite. That would be a great feature. All right. So what have comments been like on the YouTube channel over the past week? So the first question is, what does it mean for a hotspot to be in my witness list, but I'm not in theirs, or vice versa? I've seen this put both ways. So simply put, someone can't receive well. Either it's on you or it's on them. If they're not on the witness list, so if I'm not witnessing somebody else, that means that I am not receiving the signal as well as they could. Now, there's an example of where one host of mine could hear from the other host, but the vice versa was not happening. And so the other person had their miner inside and it was going out, and so it could transmit, and I could or the host could receive it. And then but the other person, when this hotspot tried to communicate back, this one could not hear it, and that's because it was inside. So this host has now upgraded their setup to have an antenna outside, so that hopefully will resolve the situation. So watching that one with great anticipation. Now, the next question is, what do you think is better? Extend the antenna cable or extend Ethernet and power cables? And of course, cover the unit as well. So this comes from Joseph, and this is a great question. So Joseph gets it. This goes back to one of my first videos on indoor versus outdoor miners. The premise really remains the same today, and my answer would still be the same. Until you have backup miners, in my idea, it's safer to keep the miner indoors. Now, if you have a supply of miners or one coming, that you can have a backup to, or you can quickly ask a friend because maybe you have an awesome location and you're just like, hey, I'm going to try this out, but if my miner goes down, can I use yours? And then we split the proceeds 50-50 or something like that. That might be a way to do it. Yes, you will get more rewards by having a shorter antenna cable and putting like Ethernet or power over Ethernet out to your miner and keeping your antenna cable shorter. And then keeping it, out on a roof as high as you can get it. Basically, that's where the highest rewards are coming in. Really, if it's the antenna's outdoor and it's as high as it can get, and then you're shortening your cable as much. I mean, that's the sense in making the best rewards that you can get from your whole setup. Of course, there's a lot of risk in that, and that's what I highlighted on that initial indoor versus outdoor miner video. All right, for the people's hotspot, where are they and what have they been doing? Well, first off, this was kind of cool. So this week we received our first donation of a community member, Helium community member, saw the people's hotspot was going on, and they just like, I just want to, I like the program, I like the idea of giving back. They give back themselves, and so they said, I want to donate some. So how would you take that? And I was like, well, I mean, really the community funds, if you're donating towards the community funds, it's really just to, go towards antennas or, well, frankly, it's been going mostly towards shipping. So they're like, okay, well, I'll pay for some shipping. So they donated 6 HNT to help out with shipping over this week. So that was really exciting. And so we're able to use some of that. So people have asked how to help out. Spreading the word has done pretty well. I mean, I've got quite a queue. I wish, and part of me, well, this goes to my next point. I had to ask myself the question this week of, what would I do if more miners were donated or HNT added to fund hotspot purchases for the people's hotspot? Do I really want this to grow? And so I'm like wrestling with that question a bit. And right now it's manageable, but grow too much and then it becomes not as manageable. Now it's almost like, well, do you consider this a small little hosting company for the people's hotspot? And how long is this supposed to be? And I had never intended this to be a long-standing program. Well, it was really only intended while the miner supply was short. But some people are kind of liking this idea of spreading miners around and doing this over the long term. And I don't know. I guess if you got some feedback, throw it in the comments and I'll review them later. So it's all public information. I mean, you can look up any of these miner names and find the wallet name and drop some HNT in there. You don't even have to tell me. Not that I'm asking for it either. It's an interesting problem to have, I guess, when people are donating. And what I'll say is this is what the people's hotspot, as far as our little community goes, made up of hosts and former hosts, is that we'll figure out what to do with those community funds together. It's not going to be what Ed thinks. Obviously, I'm going to speak to what my opinion might be on the matter, but we're going to kind of grow as a group and figure out what to do. So that'll be fun. So covering each of the miners, Puny Pecan Eel. So they'll still be hosting there for a bit. We had some discussions this week about Ethernet versus Wi-Fi with the conversations that have been had over this week. So they are trying out this removal of the top of the miner, and so we're still watching those results. We're not able to say yet if it's better, worse, or equivalent. We're just watching it. But they aren't able to put Ethernet to the miner. It's just too long of a cable run. So that's a legit thing. So Funny Gray Seal is stuck in shipping over the holiday weekend. It was supposed to be delivered on Friday, but unfortunately it got caught in shipping for some reason. And so I was super bummed about this because now I'm still hearing that Bobcat's sync time is still pretty high. And then, of course, the miner's been in transit for a few days too. So now it's even farther behind the blockchain. May have missed a firmware update. I don't know as of yet. But still watching that. So it could still take even another week for them to get it, synced. And they might even get to the point where they might get, I don't know, when the shipments are going to come in and that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I am bummed about that though. Digital Lava Dragon still cranking away over in the UK. I think it'll be there for a while. There was a 100-kilometer witness, either with the dragon itself or one of the hotspots that the dragon witnesses. So that's an exciting thing. I'm really, that was really neat to hear, 100-kilometer witness. Whoa. So I've never seen that myself. So that's cool. So, and I guess if you guys want some more information on that, I can try and share it later. But obviously, you can go look it up yourself and see the data. All right, so think tank and speculations. Ooh, I was kind of burnt out on this last live stream. So rather than speculate right now, I think I'm just going to be doing some work on my own. I know we have validators coming on, and that's really actually that'll be the special topic for today. But really, I've got some projects on my own that are still related with helium that I'm probably going to focus on. And I may take a live stream or two off. I don't know. We'll see here, or a week or two before the next live stream, so I can focus on these little projects. So at my hosts, I'd like to upgrade their setups with rack enclosures. So I've got enclosures and antennas ordered on the way from Parley Labs, and so waiting patiently for those. And then with validators imminent, a lot of these are kind of in that 50 to 80% of the time they're acting as lone wolves. So there's a higher urgency to get them mining more now. So I took the dive and got purchased all the equipment to get those up and mining more. So excited for those results too, and see how it goes. So I also have a Helium dev kit and a mapper on order, so I'm anxious to dive in that more. I've done some coding in the past and still occasionally dabble a little bit in it. So if you're curious about that, please let me know, and I'll see what I can share. Obviously, I don't want to do anything that's going to dox myself or those types of things, but I'll see what I can do. If nothing else, I'm a guy with a camera and I can talk about it on air. And although I don't know if I'll be ever using my whiteboard again, comments have just been like, that's too 90s or whatever. So I don't know. All right. So special topics. What has been creating the most buzz of late? Well, that's validators. It's consuming my time, and we're going to be in an interesting transition period. I did an announcement video on Friday and drank a beer in Helium's honor. And then, of course, I just released a video on validators. So be sure to check that out. Comment with your questions, and we'll keep rolling those forward. So that's it for special topics. I'm not going to do an entire presentation or topic or break it down. It's that, like, go watch those videos and we can talk more about it next time, I think. So as far as the next topic, it's going to be a live Q&A. So put your questions in the chat and I'll get to them. Feel free to encourage me to keep moving along in the answer if you get it, and just say next, please. So we'll do that. And let's see here. I want to make sure I got my window right in front of me here for comments. So I'm going to go back over some of the questions that were put in here while you all queue up more. This one I'm not understanding. Is validators going to be bad for new miners? I'm not sure if that was what the question was. So there's a couple of questions I'm not understanding the full context too. So my router and internet box is in the master bedroom, like way in the back. So what can I do? Well, you could experiment with antenna placement. A lot of times on those routers, you can kind of move the antennas around, so you can experiment with that. I've also, actually in the past, I've done this. I've taken a soda can, and I don't have one on me, but you take the soda can and you remove the top entirely, and then you cut around the bottom to the point where the whole soda can unfolds. And actually, sorry, you don't cut off the top. Actually, you keep that part. You cut out the bottom part, and then you basically make sure it's all washed, cleaned out, and all that kind of stuff. But then you cut off the top, and then you turn it upside down so that it all fans out. And then you can put that right on your router antenna, and it will actually improve your reception of your router. Now, that's not your miner. That's your router. Although, I don't know. I mean, I literally saw a picture, I think in the last week, of somebody taking aluminum foil and extending it off over their miner. And they said it actually improved earnings. So I don't know. Maybe we're in this like like interesting time of trying things out. I swear it's like back like in the 1980s, and I'm going with the rabbit ears and putting foil off those. Oh man, good times. I was thinking about using Wi-Fi. What do you think? I think watch the stream again, and I've got the comments on there about Wi-Fi. What will happen when all the coins are in circulation and mined is 38% are out already? I know the rewards are getting cut in half, which will slow down the rate of mining. So I believe I read something this week that will still be actively mining until 2070, and then they're still going to be, I think, in circulation entirely. So yeah, I mean, 2070 is a long ways away. I mean, it's still estimated, but I think even when we enter after the halving, there was a tweet I saw, I think that posited that we're still it's actually not even gonna be a halving because all of the HNT hasn't been minted that would be. So it's actually not gonna be a halving. It's gonna be more like a 45%, like that we'll still have. It's not like to the benefit, I guess, maybe a little bit over it, I think is what they said they were getting at. I could be wrong. Can I talk about topography and building interruptions with a 5.6 dBi outdoor antenna? Also when rack miners will be available. So rack miners you can check their website. They have a shipping calculator. You just put in your order number and it will calculate when they're going to be available. I understand that even from the very beginning, those times have shifted. I myself got my miners that I ordered way back last fall. Those are the only ones that I ordered. So I'm really excited to finally have them. So I realized that, like this was the time of like I was waiting for, and I'm so glad that I got some extra because I was a YouTube influencer, and still I identified that, and I felt so lucky to have even one hotspot that I called my own. That's why I started the People's Hotspot. So a little bit of backstory there. As far as topography and buildings, I want to go back to talking about or hitting on the videos that I've done on, there was a live stream just on antennas where I covered all the different like resources that I use in talking about antennas. So I'd really recommend that live stream. And then I also did a video just on, is my new antenna better? And somebody got frustrated that I didn't get to the point fast enough. Well, I mean, the results are if your earnings increase, you probably have a better antenna, most likely. That's going to be the case. Of course, there's fluctuations as weather and stuff. And so what I provided was really the tools that you need to make a decision and have good context if you want to up your game even more. So, and looking for how it relates to your antennas being used. Is it possible to boost antenna signal? So you can change your antenna. Obviously the stock antenna, I mean, this is a changeable piece here. So you can screw on either the stock antenna or screw on a cable and then an antenna like I have right here. So this is a 3 dBi antenna. And of course this is the rack 3 dBi, and you can do the 3 dBi. And this is more circular a pattern, doesn't go as far, or you can go to the 5.8, which goes a little bit longer out, but still it's kind of a mid-range antenna. And then the 8 dBi is rack's biggest one that the size actually isn't too different. I was surprised. If you pretend that this is the top of the 5 dBi, the 8 dBi is only about that much longer, I think. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, that's really how you change out your antennas and make it a more performant as far as coverage. Improving your reception. I mean, that's really where it's at, is receiving signals to this. That's where you get the best thing. Of course, the beaconing pays you a little bit. We need the beacons, but the reception is where all the HNT is at. Can I use outdoor Ethernet cable to connect and power the miners at the same time? So these miners do not have, this is not a power over Ethernet jack. So you can't power the device through this. That would be an awesome upgrade if you can. I don't know of any of the current systems that do that. Maybe these light gateways coming on, that would be an interesting question to ask or research as you're doing the investigation on what light gateways you would want. So that's the answer there. There is a kit from, multiple manufacturers, but it's basically like it has the Ethernet a jack that splits into an Ethernet cable that you plug into here, and then a power cable that you plug in down here. And that would go, I think, for any miner that's powered via this jack. I know there's different ones. So you'd have to look at your miner and what kind of jacks that they have on it. So, but there are those things that Nebra Outdoor has PoE. Thank you for the comment there. That's very helpful. So, so I'll be actually experimenting with those PoEs. I actually do have another prop here. Not really a prop. I didn't plan this, but I have a box of network cable that I do all my networking stuff. I love terminating my own stuff. Like one of these is awesome. This one even has the color coding on it. So I just picked this up on Amazon. It's really nice to be able to crimp, and it'll even do if you use like the pass-through. So these are some pass-through ones that they are pass-through jacks to terminate with. I'm totally a fan of doing your own Ethernet stuff. This is indoor stuff. You could put it outside. It's not really recommended. I actually ordered some new stuff this week to do all these setting up for the hosts, where it's actually going to be external. And then there's even lightning protection or grounding protection that for the PoE stuff that I'll be setting up, and I'll be filming a video probably for that as well to show that entire setup. And I think I'll actually be, depending on how that goes, I might even update my own setup at home. I've seen a comment that Syncrobit also has PoE. So I haven't seen that officially, but I'm trusting other community members for this. So thanks for the shout out there. All right. I'm seeing another question. Are buying miners a bad idea now that validators are coming by the end of this year? So I talked about that a little bit earlier. You may have missed that and so just rewatch this, and I talk about that in the middle. To check downtime, if you have a Helium end device that's sending data periodically, you can set up an alert in the Helium console if there are no data packets for a given time. Doesn't matter what you have sent. That's a good call out. You can also sign up. So on SiteBot, you can have one miner tied to one email address, and then you can actually get emails until your hotspot is back up. And so I've used that, and it did save my bacon once. I didn't realize, but I lost power to my miner because actually one of my children hit the reset on a GFI outlet, and I didn't know it was tied to the outlet that my miner was on. And so so I was down for a few hours. So then I put in a UPS and all this stuff to make sure that I wouldn't lose power again. And actually I even had power over Ethernet running to supply the switch, because actually that's what it was. The switch was on the same jack as the GFI outlet. And so my switch went down. My miner was up, but I wasn't getting any signal or any network connectivity. So I had PoE going to the switch, and I had power going to the switch. So it was awesome. I could pull one or the other and it would still be up. So making redundancies in your setup, both data redundancy and power redundancy on every single failure point in your system, map it out if you need to. That is really worth it. So let's see here. What else? Any other questions? Is it still worth ordering extra miners now? Since the wait times are so high, I'm getting worried by the time I get the miners, the cheap cheaper light gateways should be available and do the same thing. Yeah, I hear you. I think there's a lot of people that are out there. Um, if I had orders in today, I don't think I would. I mean, unless I was getting my full money back, I still don't know if I would cancel it, just because we don't know how light gateways are going to work. And like in the end, if they get, like, imagine like we had to wait forever for miners to come. Well, what if validators for some reason were having a little more problems and it took a little bit longer? I would be cautious on this one. And I don't say that to my own benefit. Make your own decision. What I hope to provide by and large is context for everybody to make their own decision on what decision they would like to make. Hopefully you're making the decision. I don't want to tell you to do one way or the other. It's one of the things I really value. So could I explain what is the right way to replace an antenna and wait time to get the best performance? So I've heard, number one, to replace the antenna is you want to power off your miner. So you pull out the power plug from the side here, and then go ahead and I'd wait a few seconds, make sure it's like powered down. If there's any capacitors that are still draining, then go ahead and unscrew your cable from the jack here, and then put on your cable to the new antenna and make sure it's connected all the way. You don't want to be unplugging this at any time from this point all the way out while the power is on. So keep the power off if you're going to be messing with anything off of this jack here. So then power it back up. Now, how long should you wait? I've seen, let's take it the inverse way. When do you get your first rewards from connecting a better antenna or better coverage environment? Let's say it's better. Well, then you should see your results most likely in a few hours. I mean, it'd be great if you hit a beacon. Well, you know what? Now we can beacon ourselves. If you own the hotspot, go in and use discovery mode. That's a great way to say, hey, did I get more witnesses or more responses, is the term that the discovery mode uses. And then see if that, if you want to try out a couple different antennas, you can rifle through them. I mean, I've got the 3 dBi, the 5.8, and the 8. I could go rifle through them all. So the last stream I did cover discovery mode, so you can check that out a little bit more. Now, as far as how many hours it does it right away. I mean, if you're not using discovery mode, you would have to probably wait a couple hours to see some sort of responses. That's provided that there are hotspots around that you're hoping to reach for. You're gonna have to wait for, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 hours to even see the initial results. Hopefully you do see it really quickly. That's what I've seen pretty much, is that it does do some sort of receiving of data. Usually other hotspots are beaconing. And as far as like days to wait to do your antenna analysis, I'd still recommend that. I think I said a week before. It's a week to 2 weeks, but I think I've made some changes in as little as like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, no, this isn't working. And then when discovery mode came out, I even hammered on that and said, oh no, this antenna is definitely not, or this setup is not working as much as I'd like. So that's what I recommend there. Have you thought about putting your HNT earnings in a physical digital wallet? So this is something about cold storage wallets that is recommended for most mining, is to be the most secure. And then obviously this is like the one weakness of the Helium network, is that you can tie physical location to a wallet. Now that person may be hosting a device, so the HNT technically belongs to someone else. Even my own, I could say that, well, it's not actually mine at my address, it's somebody else's. And then that HNT would belong to someone else. So you don't know exactly who owns the hotspot. You just know it's tied to a wallet at that location. So physical wallets, though, would help you provide that way of putting out the HNT to a location that is safer. And there's ways to, I like to use the term obfuscate. It's more of a programming term where they take the object-oriented design of things in code, and then they obfuscate. They like make it all hard to understand if you replace a variable name or a function name with some like a letter or 2 letters instead of like calculate values or something like that. So there's a way of obfuscating your earnings and moving it around. Yes, you're going to take some transfer fees in doing that, but then it will help um, keep that value a little more hidden. So I don't have any more information on that, but I do recommend everybody take a look at that. Is there a syncing time when you power off and back on to swap the antenna? There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be, unless you're down for, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour. I would say when you're doing, work on your setup, while you might get hit with like being a little bit behind in the blockchain and have to sync for a little bit, I doubt it. If you're really quick and you plan that well, that, okay, I've done everything I need to do. I've got the cable routed here. All I need to do is power it off, screw on the new one, and then there you go. Then you're good. You're good to go. So you don't have to do any syncing. Now, of course, if you change out the miner that you're using, you go from one brand to another, then you're going to have probably some syncing in that, unless you put them on at the same time. And then, of course, you're going to take a little hit on earnings as you transition from one device to another. It takes about, I think, a day and a half for a miner to fall off the blockchain. And then your score would go back up. So right now you can have as many hotspots as you want in one location. And as long as they aren't all online and mining at the same time, you're not going to get a decrease in your earnings. All right, that's all I'm seeing for questions for today. So we're going to go ahead and tie up this. Thank you for all your questions and supporting of this great community of the People's Network. I really encourage you to get involved by helping answer questions, either others ask in my comments on my channel or get on the Helium Discord. And of course, give your feedback on the live stream in the comments. What'd you like? What'd you not like? Any suggestions for future topics? Thanks again for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and all those YouTube buzzwords. I'll drop a link in the description to the course that I've created on Helium that I will continue to curate as we go forward, along with all my referral links. Till next time, peace.